We're in. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica. If you're new, it's so good to have you. I make content for growing families. This is my friend Lane. She is a toddler extraordinaire, expert, just a sage, wise owl.
An elder, you can
say. Elder. This is like the fourth thing we've recorded today. No, the third. So my mind's a little tired. No, we are here today to talk to you about the transition from having your child be at home with you to entering into like a daycare or a preschool situation. And I'm doing this because I'm getting so many moms writing me who are like, I'm having the worst time. I dropped my little one off. I'm crying. They're crying. This is horrible. Does this mean I shouldn't send them? Am I doing something wrong? And so I wanted to bring Lane here to talk to us about this because Lane is a former preschool educator and like you ran the school.
I was the second mate.
She was the first mate of the school. No, she has so much experience in Very Good Mothers Club in general. We have her in here to speak to parents, to give them insights into their toddlers' like development and how they think and how they process and what you can do if your toddler's freaking out. And she is our go-to person when it comes to these little people. You're about to send your little one to school or daycare. One of the first things that needs to happen is you, mom or dad, want to find the place you're going to send your little one.
Yeah.
And this needs to be a place that you feel is safe, that you really trust the caretakers, because the educators, whoever's running the place, because the handoff, generally speaking, is a bit emotional. There are the kids who walk in and don't look back, right?
Sure.
But for a lot of you, I imagine if you're watching this, it's because it's not that way for you.
Yeah.
It's quite sad. There have been many times that I've been the mom crying, looking at my little one who's crying and looking at the preschool teacher, like pleading with my eyes that they will take over the situation and reassure us both that it's going to be fine. So find a place you love. Is there anything that you would want to add to that, or just that's good, like what feels right inside?
Yeah, for sure. I think you have to tour. Like, you gotta be there.
Okay.
You gotta meet the people. Like, you need to feel the feeling of like whether this feels right for you guys. Ask how they're gonna spend their time. Find out like really what your little one's day is gonna look like. Like, what are these hours gonna be filled with when you're not in there with them?
Yeah, that's really good. Additionally, questions that I thought of actually after the fact, it was like the questions that sprung on me while my little one was there, is like, how do they handle sleep? What does nap time look like? Do they have nap time? What if the baby or toddler resists sleep? What's their process for that? Another one would be around food. How do they do eating or snacking? Generally, if you're touring the place, they probably are going to talk to you about this, but if they don't, then you ask directly. Another thing you could ask is, how do they handle it if your little one is freaking out or having a meltdown or crying or fussing? What are their steps for helping the children be all right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if discipline's the right word. Would discipline be the correct word? Or just like if your little one is acting out in some way, how do they handle it? Are they a place who doesn't believe in the word no? Or are they a place who, there's going to be different strategies around how they do it.
How do they handle inter-child conflict? Can often kind of get you to that space too.
Yeah.
You can even say, my little one tends to sometimes struggle with this kind of thing. Like, how would you guys handle that? Because you're interviewing them.
Yeah.
Right? Like the school, they're going to ask you questions and want to like learn about your family as well. But if the place isn't the right fit for you, that's okay. You get to just leave and never come back.
That's right. Totally. Another one that I've heard come up from actually just a close friend here is sickness. Like if your little one has a runny nose or something, some places will have rules around like they can't come for the week or they can't come for a day. Right. And that can really dramatically affect your work life. So you want to find one that makes sense for you. Or if every time something is wrong health-wise, you have to get a doctor's note, then you'd actually want to be talking to your pediatrician so that they're ready to move on that quickly. And each place is going to have specific regulations about that. What if all of that's done, love the place, love the people, I bring them there and my child is crying at drop-off.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. What do I do? And from your end as the educator or caretaker, kind of, could you walk me through what you're thinking and how you're ready to handle that?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. The good news is that you're still in the world of like ideal. If you have found a place that's super ideal and you're all prepped and your little one has their little backpack on and everybody gets there and they cry, you have not left the ideal circumstance. That's actually like quite normal and part of the whole thing. They are doing their very first hard thing. They are going to go to a place that is not their home and be with people who they do not know and like really get to sort through what that means in a world with other children in a dynamic that's super new. And it's a challenge, and some of them are going to be stoked on this challenge and totally take to it, and others are going to be like, hate it, this is super hard, here's a lot of protest for you. And that's okay. They're allowed to be doing something that they would rather not, and they're allowed to let you know very out loud, I would rather not be doing this. But you still get to know, like, I chose a place that's good and I'm confident this is going to be good for you, and here's a lot of like empathy and love and warmth and care, and we'll get to some practicals around it too for the hard thing that you're doing, but this is the hard thing that we're doing. It doesn't get to change the decision. So you're still in the realm of good. Hopefully you have chosen a place that has a teacher that also kind of feels that way and is able to really walk you through that. And I think that is a great question to talk to the teacher about ahead of time. How do you, specific woman who I'm handing, or gentleman who I'm handing my child to, how do you handle drop-offs? What do you like to do? What do you need from me? What do you advise? Because you want to take the temperature of that person as well. And hopefully they're someone who like has their own method. For me, my recommendation to you, the parent bringing me the child who's crying, is to tell you with like all the calmness that I can muster the words that I just said. This is hard. I'm happy to be in the hard thing with you. Super happy to let it take as long as it takes for your child to just kind of go on this little journey. There are things that you can do to kind of get them ready ahead of time, like getting them in the space where they get to see it and helping them to meet the teacher and kind of familiarizing. I think that's very helpful. As a teacher, feel really happy for people to come into my classroom early and spend some time and hang out ahead of the drop-off time. What I also think is really important as a teacher is that when the time to go comes, that the parent really decides. I usually ask, hey mom, it seems like it's time for you to head to work. Is that right? Okay, great. Can I take really good care of Ethan today? Is that okay? And get you parents to say yes, and like really in front of the child together, transfer that authority over to me. Which is something that you can do whether or not that's part of a teacher's routine. That can be your cue for the teacher. I'm ready to go to work. I would love for you to be in charge and take really good care of him today. Does that sound good? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. And then whatever your little ritual is with your child, squeezes, hugs, snuggles, kisses, when it's done, you go. And you like really do go and really like let that child be there. And I know that that's my take, and that there are very different takes in the world. But I think it's really important for you to stand in the position of authority, not like top-down authority over your child, but of like, I'm the protector here, and I picked a good, safe thing for you, and I'm demonstrating in the way that I'm doing this that this is good and safe. And I'm so confident in my decision that I'm actually going to go.
Yeah.
I think that provides the most safety.
Yeah, that's so good. And you said in our podcast that the child is going to kind of sense your assurance there. Even if you feel sad to see your little one sad, they're going to sense in you that you're all right and that they're all right. They're safe. You can say the things of, mommy always comes back. Something that in my family we have joked about is Daniel Tiger, really cute little show. They have a whole episode about how grown-ups come back. And it's actually so helpful. And in our house, when like Jules cries, Wilson will be like, oh, no, grown-ups always come back and they sing the song. And sometimes she's like, Wilson says like, Jules needs to watch the episode to remember that grown-ups always come back. So you could even watch something or read books about it when you're home so that they understand the concept that you leave, but you always come back and that they're safe. I also heard recently of a mom who draws a heart on the little one's hand, then when they think of her, they can kiss their hand, and then when they get home, they can do all the kisses in real life. I guess there's a book about that. I've never seen the book, but that's what they do, and it's a cute strategy. So you could do something like that. You also said something.
Yeah, hopefully the teacher that you just, this wonderful teacher that you chose and just left your child with, is doing all the things that you're describing at school too.
With them.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
So that should be what's happening on the other end, because almost 100% of the time, let's put it in the 90s.
Sure.
We'll put it somewhere in the 90s. It takes a little bit, child settles in, the excellent childcare professionals that you've given them to know how to like help a child be cozy, and then playfully kind of tease them out of that zone and get them in, and then by mid-morning they're like in it, living a life, having a great time. They may bring some more feelings to you at the end of the day, but in that interim period, I have been with hundreds of children who cried at the beginning and then lived a very beautiful day with me and are going to do that same thing tomorrow.
I've had it too where my kids, like, they cry at drop off and they cry at pickup, but I know for sure they were fine. They were peaceful, happy, good. So it's the feelings of like, oh my gosh, you're here again.
Yes. Yes. But I love that heart on the hand idea, and there are a few other things that you can do in that same kind of way. So what it's doing is building a bridge. We call it continuity of care, trying to keep the care that happens at home contiguous through school and then back around, so that the child experiences this like a quality of care that is familiar to them wherever they go. Sometimes that can be like a laminated photo of the family that they get to take, and here's our little photos, and you can just keep it with you, or you can put it in your cubby, whatever you'd like, but you're welcome to come visit the people that you love who are coming back. Or a book, maybe even that one with the heart, that would be extra to have those together. Something cozy that smells like you. Here's my t-shirt that you can snuggle with at nap time. Here's our special snack. I tucked this in for you. You can have one now in the car, and you can have one at lunch. It's in your lunchbox. Something for you to think about. But those things that can bring some, just like that little piece of home
with them.
Because they are small, and it is an abstract idea that this person is gone now and that they're coming back later or after, whatever.
When it's later, is that ever happening?
Lunch isn't even here yet. What could possibly be after lunch?
Right, exactly.
But something tangible, because they can hold things, they can smell things, they can look, they can touch their own little hand. I love that that's like there's a little self-love element to the kissing of the heart.
Sweet.
Those things can really help.
Okay, great. What about like practically for you as the person who's on the receiving end of them bringing something? Like you mentioned, a lot of times on your end, shoes get lost and things get lost, and then you've got a parent coming to you maybe flustered. Where is all of this? What's going on for you?
There's a lot of things that are going on. In real life, a child that was in my classroom for several years got very obsessed with the little girls in the classroom's shoes. And he wanted to keep them, and he wanted to have them, and he wanted his own red sparkle shoes. And even when he got red sparkle shoes, he still like wanted
the other ones.
Kennedy's. And he would just be like crying, Kennedy's shoes.
Oh my gosh.
And when he finally got Kennedy's shoes from her body where he took them, he threw one of them over the fence just so that never again would it truly leave him. A lot of things happen at preschool, and if you ever like to see your belongings again, you must write their name on everything.
Okay.
You need a Sharpie on each shoe.
Clothing.
And I understand why it would like make sense that like I'll just label one of these shoes and then you'll know that it's theirs. But like maybe that's the shoe that went
over Kennedy's red shoe.
Kennedy's red shoe is, if that's the one that said Kennedy, this other one is unlabeled.
That's so funny.
And then also often there will be like a staff change that will happen in the afternoon, or maybe like this teacher is in charge of this kind of a snack room and things. So there's like a real circulation that happens in a lot of centers. So that's something to consider as well. Like it can seem really straightforward of like, why don't you just know where her shoes are, and being like, a lot happens today. I'm
so
super sorry, and I really don't know. But the labeling, very helpful.
Very practical.
That's just like a pro tip.
Yeah. You had another pro tip. I'll let you speak on it, but it's called car snacks.
Car snacks. Every single time, 10 out of 10, a hungry child will cry more than a not hungry child. I think the transition to school can be there can be some anticipation that builds there. And I know that breakfast is a scramble and things can be crazy, but like protein bar, avocado, I mean maybe not an avocado in a car, but like something that's like
sometimes
food and that's
not
not sugar,
but
so
they can just bring like pouch of
for sure
fruit and veggie thing or yogurt thing.
That would be perfect. But something, if it can be like a little bit less of a sugar situation, because that too, like sugar can get you a little up here, and that's where your feelings happen.
Makes sense.
I know, but like something that a nice little come down solid, something in my belly on my way to school, something I'm in charge of, something that's a yes, because you're about to have this very big, like, this must happen. So if it can be like, absolutely, have a freebie snack, bonus.
Totally.
And then you're going to pick up a pretty tired kid from school, because they probably did have a great time, and that great time used their whole entire body, and got really sweaty, and ran around, and met with other children, and commingled in a way that is new, and everything was new and heightened and exciting. And whether or not they got a great nap, they've had a lot and they're going to come into the car with you and experience this like come down. And sometimes that's emotional too. Sometimes it's not, but either way, getting like a little replenishment right after school, something that feels like I'm here, well done, here's this thing that like transfer back to me, now I'm the grown-up again, feeding you, giving you the thing that you need. I came back and provided for you, just like I said. Yeah. And then also you don't end up with somebody super cranky right before dinner.
Totally, yeah. And to that point, there is something of like when a kid gets home from school, this is even true of my Eloise who's in 2nd grade, they've been holding it together so long in school that sometimes I just anticipate there may be a meltdown after. There isn't always, but you see that to be true.
Absolutely. Sometimes parents can be really surprised even when like a kid worked so hard to transition into school that now the parent's back and they have to switch back to the other thing, and the last time they saw the parent they were kind of upset at them, and sometimes that sort of reemerges. But then also you're their safe, close person, so they're always going to bring you the most of themselves, like the most of their best and the most of their most challenging. And so some of it will be that, and then some of it is just that big release of like, I did this thing today and I performed for people in a socially acceptable way, and now I'm home and it just all kind of needs to come out. And whatever version of a child comes back to you at the end of the preschool day is absolutely not a reflection of you as a parent or like how they're feeling about you. They're a whole entire person who just experienced a whole entire day, and there's just going to be a lot of variety. And their language is pretty specific, and so they may, even what they say, maybe like the feelings are a lot more than what they're saying. They may come out with like, I don't like school, when actually they really love school,
a nice time, and
they're just having a big feeling, and some words are coming out. So like knowing that many different versions of your child may come home to you from school, really and being ready to just honor their experience and trust that like, this is a person processing. And of course, if you end up spotting some patterns, there may be something to adjust.
That's a good thought though, because you might be surprised if like after school they don't treat their siblings the way they normally do, or you plan a play date with friends and somehow they're like lashing out at friends, and you're thinking like, oh my gosh, what is going on with my kid, when actually your kid has just had a very full day and is now needing to like sort through all of that, holding it together. Do you see benefits for a child who is going to daycare or preschool? Because what I hear a lot is the panicked parent who just did drop off, it went pretty tough, and then their mind is going to like, well, maybe this was a bad idea in general, maybe this is causing extreme anxiety for my little one. What do you see, because you're there with them?
I think it can be very, very powerful for a child to have a second place to be. Like we all have a lot of different places that we get to be in our lives where we belong, or for the most part there's a workplace, or there's like a social gathering place, there's our home. For a child to have a space that belongs to them, is designed for them, where there are other versions of people like them going around, it's a unique experience, like unique to group settings. You can't emulate in your home or in someone else's home. It's kind of their own little wild kingdom where they get to explore, and there is a new adult there who's going to guide them and bring them new ideas and different ways of being, so that they can bring everything that they've grown like organically in your home out into the world and kind of test it and get to experiment and try new things and make their own discoveries. And there's a confidence and a self-assuredness that comes from that, of really having to be separate from you, because they are separate from you. They are actually a different person, and that comes with really amazing things and things that feel super tense and strange, and it's a really powerful opportunity for them to explore the wonderfulness and the tension and the strangeness as themselves.
It's so special. Even as the parent, watching them come back and be like, wow, their language has developed so much, their confidence, the way they interact with the world. When I remember with Eloise, my daughter, when she was first going to school, it felt like such a major transition for us. But then like in the weeks that would follow, when we go out and about, she'd kind of look at strangers with, I don't know, with a warmth or something like that. Oh, okay. And I just loved that. And then I'll say for you, the mom or dad who's experiencing now this window of time without your little one, really celebrate the fact that you did this hard thing. Don't spend that time feeling like you're a bad parent, feeling guilty for the separation. Your little one is safe. You've got somebody like this girl you've done such a good job picking the place for your child. And now this is your moment to to do whatever you need to do in the time, whether that's go back to work or it's build up the social life that maybe hasn't been as strong right now, or go take some time for yourself. There were moments where I would just need to sit and cry with a journal to like make sense of my thoughts that I've been feeling are all over the place because I've been prioritizing everyone else and my daughter for a long time. Take the time to go intentionally like self-soothe, cope, grab the coffee, enjoy the drink, like really take care of yourself, because this separation is going to be very good for both of you. And if after a few weeks you still feel really unsettled about this, if you're like, gosh, I don't know, I have a bad feeling about the place or the person or the process, then don't ignore that. That's important, but give it enough time, I would say. If you are feeling that the first week, that's normal. This is a huge transition for all of you. But after a little while, red flags would be red flags probably because there's something worth looking into a little bit.
Yeah, asking questions.
Yeah, exactly. You could also just have a meeting with whoever the caretaker is to say, I don't know, I'll say this for me. One of the hardest moments for me was if I was dropping off my child and the person I was dropping them to seemed stressed, scared, or nervous. It would be escalated. The moment would be escalated. And that didn't happen so often, but there were times when it would be like the assistant of the main person. And I left feeling bad. Looking back, what I wish I did was I went to the main person and said, hey, could we talk about this transition? Because they probably are scared. My little one's freaking out. I might be tearing up. That's scary. But there's probably some guidance that could happen on the other side where we work together and we have like the script you talked about of everything you said of like, would this be a good time for me to take over? Like, that's beautiful. If somebody said that to me, I'm like, you got it. So something like that, don't just ignore it and don't immediately jump to, this is the wrong place, these are the wrong people. Someone I know recently figured out that their child was kind of in between ages, so they were putting them in the older group, but really it seemed like they would do better in the younger group. So the unsettled feeling that lasted for weeks led to them moving the child to a younger group. I thought that was great wisdom. Nobody could tell them that, but they sat with these things, met with the instructor, and then figured out what was the right move. There's changes that can be made, but you don't want to make those decisions in the very immediate beginning, right, of this transition, because it's just going to be a lot.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like there's an element in there of trusting yourself, also trusting your child to exist in the world and be a person, and then trusting the other adults that you have entrusted them with, and getting to just kind of like move between those two things, or all three of those things, and make adjustments as needed.
Yeah, that's great. The woman who led the place that Eloise was in when she first transitioned to a daycare preschool facility, this was in Spain, she's still my friend, and we still write each other, and Eloise and Sean are going to be going to Spain this fall, and they're going to see her, and I just think it's so sweet because this woman like saved my life in a moment when I was desperate for some outside care for her. And so there's just really some treasures in this whole thing, and it's super special. So hang in there. You are an excellent mom or dad if that's who's watching. We really believe in you. You can reach out if you have specific questions. Please join the online community of Very Good Mothers Club. We have a membership group. You can try it out for free for a time. We do Zoom calls and people can connect with one another. We also have a Facebook group that's totally free. That's Jess Hover and Friends. You can meet great people there. And you can DM Lane directly. Is that the best way? Yeah. So we would love to be in touch with you if you need the support. And check out our podcast. We're podcasters. It's so fun. Okay, thank you guys for being here. You're amazing. We'll see you soon. Bye.